Okay, fam. Conversations between comrades coming up right about now. And y'all, it's about to be a good one. I'm so excited about this show. Yo, but y'all see what I'm talking about just about now.
Got conversations about life, got conversations about death, got conversations about building a nation, about gaining knowledge of self. Not here to deceive ya, we'll make you a believer. Come build a nation with conversation, with prophecy and Attica. Conversations between comrades.
And welcome to another episode of Conversations Between Comrades. I am your host, Brother Prophecy, but I'm not by myself. Now I know we miss Atiba and I miss Atiba. I can't wait till I get my comrade back with me. But for now, you know what I'm saying? If I ain't got Atiba by my side, I
You
can't
got
think of
me.
another brother. I can't think of another brother that I want to be riding with me than the brother that I got right now. He is a survivor of the Attica rebellion. He is the founder of the New York Party of the Black Lords. He is a former Black Panther and a whole lot more. He's the one, the only brother Che. How you doing, man?
How
I
you
wish I
doing,
had
good
some
brother?
applause.
Welcome to. Thank you for inviting me to this program. I always love to hear you talk. I love the people that come to the program. I just love the program, period. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell it like it is. Like what's his name used to say? Tell it like it is. I'm going to tell it like it is.
Definitely, man. I've been looking forward to this for a really long time. Ever since I first you first appeared on the show as somebody just writing comments, because I always peep your comments out and I was like, hold on, this brother got that special knowledge, that knowledge that you only acquire when you're a part of certain type of organization, and these type of organization ain't the kind of organization that's for lightweights. You got to be a part of these heavyweight organizations to spit some of the knowledge that this brother been spitting. So man, I've been looking forward to meeting you finally. But
You know,
we'll go for it.
you know. I just gonna give you a little wisdom as a start.
Okay.
I am who I am, and yet I'm not who I am.
Okay.
That means that I used to be, like when I was 15, I was a young kid. Now I'm 76. I'm no
Mm.
longer who I used to be. And maybe down the line, if nature gives me the opportunity, I may not be who I am now. So
Mm.
life is always changing, and that in itself is dialectics.
See? They don't see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
no, it's dialectics.
See what
I
I'm
make
saying?
it simple, brother. I make it very simple. I read books on Marx, and sometimes Marx just
Yeah.
drives
Hey,
me
hey, hey,
crazy.
hey, I gotta jump off. But man, tell me a little bit about your history. I gotta jump off real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, brother. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. You got to do what you got to do, man. You know, I have one of the things that struggle taught me was patience.
Dig that,
You
dig
know,
that,
it
dig
taught
that.
me a lot of patience. You got to have a lot of patience because people are people, and people do a lot of things, and you got a lot of work ahead of you. You know, just like you got a lot of work right now. So I just gotta, tolerate that and be patient with it.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
appreciate it.
you ready?
Yeah, well, first, before we get into you, Cole, I know we got a lot to cover with your story because you have a phenomenal story that I'm so looking forward to hearing. But I'm down in Memphis, Tennessee. We changed the name of it, called it Ought to Be Well City. That's kind of what we do. Name our cities after our heroes and sheroes. But down here, recently everybody knows about the brother uh, Tyree Nichols, skateboarder. Uh, just everything I know about the brother, just a cool young man. And he was brutally murdered
He
by
was
these,
assassinated. He was
yeah,
assassinated.
assassinated by these police. I mean, similar situation. These actual police actually they was part of a special unit called the Scorpion Unit. Because you said somebody's a rumor floating around in New York about these police wasn't trained and stuff like that. They was trained. They was actually trained to do exactly what they did. This Scorpion Unit was a special anti-gang, anti-violence in the community type unit who used a lot of aggressive tactics. Basically, we gonna fight these criminals with criminals type, mentality, fight fire with fire. And they was like overly aggressive, and that was not the first individual that they had brutalized. They had a history of it. But yeah, man, what's your thoughts on this situation?
First of all, police are police. And we need to understand that very clearly. They know what they're doing, or else they won't be doing what they're doing. They know it. They don't serve us. They never did and never will. They serve the system,
Thank you.
and people look at them as workers. Yeah, they may be workers, but not our workers. They work for the system,
Yep.
and they're determined to do whatever needs to be done to maintain that system. And so that's what they do. They kill us in the streets, and then they turn around, as they did recently, and say, oh, they're not trained. These people are trained.
Yep.
You mean to tell me you're gonna get a gun? You're gonna put a gun in your holster, and you don't know what you're doing? No, it doesn't go like that. It doesn't go like that. I'm 76. I'm not stupid. I've been to the mill so many times. I've been in jail. I did 15 years in jail, and I know what their purpose are. The guards in the prisons are the same people that in the streets. There's no difference between them. They both carry guns. Some of us can't even carry guns because we're not allowed to have it, just like they did with the Panthers. Once they found out that the Panthers were ready, sure enough ready, to protect us, the people, the system turned around and put laws out there to prohibit them from carrying guns. You know what I'm saying? So, the police, they know what they're doing. People should stop believing that when you got a problem, you call the police. How can you call the police? There have been instances, there have been occasions where people have called the police innocently without knowing what the police are going to do, and the police have came to their house and killed their loved ones.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. We need to stop calling the police. Let's call each other. Let's call each other. We got people, we got neighbors. Let's call them. Tell them, listen, man, I got a problem with my husband. I got a problem with my son. Could you help me, or give me some feedback, or tell me who I could call beside the police that could come and help me? We could do that, but we do not think. We look at the police as people who's supposed to be service of the people. They are not service of the people. They never been and never will.
Damn right. Yeah. Exactly. I'm feeling you 100%. Matter of fact, yesterday they had the brother's funeral, and after the funeral, we had a townhouse meeting, and that's one of the things that we talked about, like taking control of our communities where we no longer need the police, and if they even come, we'd be like, no, thank you, bye, we got it. And that's kind of, one of the things that we have to really focus on seriously if we're trying to remedy our problems, because we can't keep on going to the people who have created the problem and the people who benefit the condition. They created the conditions in which the problems grow out of in the first place. You know what I'm saying? The problems that you see with the crime in our community, the violence in the community, that's a manifestation of people who live in a situation that lack the resources that they need to survive. You know what I'm saying? And all these are manifestation of economic system that is based on the exploitation of man by man. You know what I'm saying? And I know we can get on that all day.
In the last 10 years,
mm-hmm.
I may be a little exaggerated, but it's close to it. There's been close to 50,000 Black people that have been killed by the police.
Mm-hmm.
By the police, 50,000. How many more do we have to tolerate before we decide to change the situation? See, let me tell you something. The Black Panthers, they had the solution to the problem.
Yes.
They had the solution. And they knew what to do. And what happened? Once the system took hold of this, and they knew that the Panthers had the solution to the problem, what they did, they instituted the COINTELPRO.
Yep.
And automatically the COINTELPRO took over and destroyed totally the Black Panther Party.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing that throughout our communities. They did that in PR in Puerto Rico in 1950 with Don Pedro Aviso Campos. They did that. They took him and destroyed him completely, put him in jail, and he died in jail. Just about. He came home, he was already dead.
Wow.
So COINTELPRO has always been around. They just changed. Now they probably changed the name because they know we hip to it. So they probably come around and change the name to COINTELPRO and call it something else. And before we know it, something is happening and we don't know what's happening. And here we are back in the scene. Because if we would have believed, see, we need to start believing and loving each other. That's what we need to do. We don't love each other enough, and I'm going to be talking about that also. In my writing, loving each other. Because when I read the autobiography of Malcolm the first time, one of the things that I picked up from Brother Malcolm, was love yourself. And I said, oh, that's my solution. I got to start loving myself. And once I start loving myself, who do I turn that love to? My people. And who are my people? People of color. You see, so we need to start loving each other, man, and stop depending on people that don't love us. The police do not love us. They hate us. Hate us with a passion. And I don't care if they're black. They're black here. They're white here.
Exactly.
Frantz Fanon talked about that, didn't he?
Frantz Fanon, wretched of the poor, wretched of the earth.
Black skin, white mass.
Yep.
We talked about that, and we need to start listening. We need to start coming together as a group. And like I said, the Black Panthers had a solution. If they would have let the Black Panthers do their thing, we would have been living in a new society by now. A new society. But that's the way it goes, man. We depend on someone else who don't depend on us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I won't say they don't depend on us. They exploit us. You know what I'm saying? They built a system on the exploitation of us. You know what I'm saying? So
all the time. They exploit us all the time, man. And they exploit us in many ways, in our thinking, in our behaviors.
Yep.
They know everything about us, man. Everything about us, they know. Do we know something about them?
That's why I love you, man. That's why I love you, bro, because I know where that smile coming from.
I know me and you do. Me and you do. We know who they are, but do they know who they are?
Yeah. But anyway, man, I want to get into your story. You know what I'm saying? Because you have such a dynamic story. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you know what? I'm just turning it over to you, man. Pick up wherever you want to stop, man. Tell me about yourself.
Let me start.
All right.
My name is Nieves. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, to a Jamaican mother and a Puerto Rican father. My father was a merchant marine who traveled around the world. He never had time for his son. That was me. Somewhere down the line, he got caught up in another relationship, and he had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. I never met them. They're my brothers and sisters, but I never met them. My mother was always working in garment districts between Brooklyn and Manhattan. On weekends, a good Jamaican black woman loved to dance and party, so she used to do that. She used to leave me in the house with some of her friends, or maybe sometimes to take me over to the family on my mother's side, and I'll be over there. So she used to play the clubs, man, on weekends. I don't have no problem with that. I used to do it too. But I noticed one day that her stomach started growing. And I said, Mom, are you pregnant? She said, yeah, I am pregnant. By a boyfriend I call Willie. Okay. And by the way, you are going to meet him. I said, okay, Mom. And one weekend he came over and he spent the weekend with us. He was a chef. He was Puerto Rican. He used to do a lot of cooking in various restaurants, and he made good money, no doubt. And like I said, he spent the weekends, but he used to drink too much. And my mom used to drink too much. And so 2 drunks get together. Eventually, what happens? There's conflict. Yep. And they start arguing. And before they argue, other things happen. You know, but domestic violence doesn't always start with the physical aspect. It starts by verbal expressions. That's how domestic violence starts, verbal expressions. And once domestic violence started coming to the surface, I said, no, I was a kid. I said, I'm not going with this. So I started running away from home. I had to. I couldn't tolerate my mother's crying and my stepfather putting his hands on her. I couldn't do that. I couldn't see that, you know. So I started running away from home. And when I ran away from home, the police from time to time used to catch up with me and take me to the precinct and jack me up a little bit, you know, smack me around and stuff, and then put me in a detention center for kids in the Bronx. They used to call it Spofford.
Okay.
And so that was okay. And from time to time, my mother had to go to the court, family court, and pick me up and then take me home. And that was very aggravating for her, you know. And so when I get home, I get an ass whooping. I get an ass whooping. But that's okay, because the ass whooping was only an encouragement to do it again. Okay. And that's what we need to understand about. We can't keep putting our hands on our kids, because that encourages them to do it more. You see? So we need to really stop, sit down with your children, talk to your children, but don't put your hands on them. Don't abuse them. Those are your loved ones, man. You know, and that's why I used to do that. I used to run away from home, and my mother kicked my ass, and that's okay. I'll kick my ass. I'll be laughing when she used to do it, and she couldn't understand it. She thought I was crazy. But hey, listen. So when I was 9 years old, I had my sister was born, and her name was Jenny Rivera. That's the one that just passed away. I'm gonna talk about her a little bit more. Okay. She's the one that passed away.
Sorry to hear about the sister. I didn't know she actually passed. That's the one when you was going to see.
That's really like on my mind, and I try to keep that away.
I
You
got
know,
you. I got
in the back of my core, in my subconscious level.
you.
And even though my sister was born, domestic violence was already taking place, and so I ran away. I still ran away from my house, and I began loving the streets, man. I'm gonna tell you, I began loving it
Mm-hmm.
because I got more in the street. Not that now. Please don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. I got more in the streets than I got in my own house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because even though my mother loved me, to the bone. She loved me to the bone. But there was a man in the house now, and there was a little baby in the house. She had to take care of that, and so I was sort of neglected in a way. Okay. Uh, and so I was a young kid. I had no fear. I didn't fear nobody. I used to fight in the streets as well. That's where I learned how to fight. I'm a good fighter, but I learned how to fight in the streets. So when I went to jail, I was already ready for anybody who tried to harm me.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so I stopped right there. That's my
All
first
right.
stop.
Okay. No, I mean, no, that's so okay. Let me ask you this, because it seemed like from what you said so far, like your family dynamic is something, it's something that you wasn't getting at home, kind of made the streets attractive to you. You know what I'm saying? Kind of, made that street like what year was this around?
We're talking about 1950. My sister was born in 1955. And I haven't gone to it, but that was in the 50s.
Okay. In the
Okay.
50s.
Yeah, 55, when my sister was born in 55. So
So
she was
so around
born,
how old were you then?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old. Okay.
In
All right.
55, I was 9 years old.
So
And I'm going to talk about when, well, okay. What else I said? And so I'm going to push it up for a little further up to 1958.
okay.
Okay, where I was 11 and my sister turned 3 years old. I had 8 years ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I have 8 years older than her. And she turned 3. But it wasn't a happy birthday because the soon she turned 3, my mother passed away.
Oh, damn.
And that was very chaotic in my life. It became very
Mm-hmm.
chaotic. My stepfather decided, my mother died of cancer, breast cancer, but she used to smoke a lot. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why, she got cancer. It could have been something, other things, but she never really talked about her personal problems, even though
Mm-hmm.
me and her were real close. Me and my mom
Yeah.
were real close, but she used to smoke a lot. So I think she got breast cancer as a result of it, breast cancer, lung cancer.
Mm.
And so my sister just turned 3, and this is what she receives: a deaf mother. And then my stepfather decided to take my sister and send her to Puerto Rico,
Mm.
when she was 3 years old. So it left me all by myself in New York. My family, who I quote unquote turned their backs on me, so I became a black sheep of the family. So I said, hell with it. I'm hitting the streets. I'm going to live in the streets. And that's what I did. I went straight into the streets. I started hanging out in the streets, and I became a gangbuster,
Mm.
because I got involved with a gang. They called it the Black Diamonds, which were located on Flushing Avenue and Broadway during that time, and I started smoking weed and drinking rum and drinking beer and doing every crazy thing that all kids do. or most kids do.
Yeah.
My life became very chaotic, man. Very chaotic. I was in and out of youthful detention centers because I was getting caught, hanging out in the corner at 2:00 in the morning. The police would come, everybody would run, and here I am, this young little whippersnapper, hanging out in the corner. So they're gonna grab me first and take me to the precinct and smack me around a little bit, like they always did. And sometimes as I look back now, I wonder. I said, "Wow, I'm a lucky lucky. I'm a lucky, because."
Yeah.
Could I say it?
Yeah, yeah. No, hey,
I'm a lucky motherfucker. You know why?
Yeah.
Because here I am, being kicked around and smacked around in the precinct, when today people don't even go that far. Our people don't even get to the precinct. They get killed right in the street.
Yep.
So I said to myself, "Wow, I'm lucky." Not that the police love me. I doubt that very much. So what I did, so when I look back, that's what I saw in my life. And not only that, but I look back, man, and I see a lot of my Black Panther brothers, man, getting killed left and right in the street, and I wonder, man, what is happening? What is happening? This is definitely genocide.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
they're committing against our people, man. Police killing our people has always been a norm. It has always been a norm. It goes way back into the 40s, way back into the 50s. And in the 60s, what the 60s brought? It brought a lot of rowdy people. It brought revolution to the surface. Most people, students in particular, they were talking about let's have a revolution, and all that came as a result of the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War had an impact on all of us in many ways. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, for the last 10 years, many of our people have been killed by the police, and I would estimate that, according to my research, it's been close to 50,000, if not more.
No, I mean that seems about right, because I know, like just last year, I was reading about last year. Even though like the media is not focusing on it as much as they was when they were doing the George Floyd and all of that. But 2023, I mean, I forgot exactly, but like over like it was like one of the highest amounts of police killings in history. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, your estimate, it sounds right, because I'm pretty sure like at least over, yeah, that sounds about right.
Until we the people, and I'm talking about we the people, put a total stop to it, it will continue. And like I said, the Black Panther Party had a solution to our problem. It just they didn't get time enough to execute it.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I want to shout out our audience. I see Melly Queen out there doing everything. She said FT free the land, comrades and family, free the land to you. She out there sharing the show, letting everybody know. I see Madam President, the President of the Republic of New Africa, Sama At. How you doing? She said free the land, comrades. And everybody out there listening, you know what I'm saying? Drop us a line. Let us know you out there. I see you out there, but I don't just see you checking in yet. So check in, let us know so we can converse with you, because the conversation between comrades is not just between these two good-looking brothers right here, but it's between all of us. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, drop us a line, let us know that you out there so we can acknowledge you and converse with you also. But yeah, man. So yeah, man. So like right now, you kind of like, you know, kind of in the streets, getting your stripes with the police. They messing with you and all of that type. What led you to getting incarcerated? What led you to Attica? Am I moving too fast?
Well, you're moving too fast, but that's okay. You know, and I can understand that because everybody wants to Attica, Attica. And I understand that, man. I get that there sometimes too, Attica. But Attica is a process.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, so I just stopped right there after I said what I said before to see if there's any questions, and if not, I'll continue.
Yeah, continue, brother.
But you wanted to ask me what led me to Attica, and so I'm gonna turn now to that, the age of 14. You know, because that's where everything starts.
Okay.
You know, in 1961, I was 14 years old. I was picked up by the police and charged with murder. To my personal recollection, it was justifiable homicide. And I'm going to explain that very briefly to you.
Okay.
I'm in a gang fight. And in a gang fight, you don't walk away from it. Especially when you're in a gang member. You know, the streets have laws. I should not even tell you that because you probably know that too. But the streets has its own laws. So when you're in a gang fight, you got to stay there and fight. You can't run from it. This guy was tussling with me, and he tried to stab me, and by some chance I took the knife away from him, and I stabbed him. Now, if you look at the picture, some people say, well, why didn't you walk away? Why didn't you run away? Why didn't you just throw the knife and run? It doesn't go like that when you're in a gang fight. When you're in a gang, you don't walk away. You don't run from something. And for sure, I wasn't no punk. You know, so I took the knife away from him and I stabbed him because if I didn't do that, he would have stabbed me.
Yeah.
And so what we call that? Justifiable homicide. But the system didn't call it that. The system said, oh, this kid, man, having trouble all throughout his years, all throughout his life, this Puerto Rican kid. You know, they probably knew my mother, this Puerto Rican kid come from this black woman, and you know, and I don't even know who the father is, and you know, and he's having all these problems. He's crazy. He killed him. And so they accused me of murder. And I was facing, you know what? I was facing the possibility of execution.
Damn.
Because in the 60s, they had that law that if you committed a crime, regardless of what age, there's a possibility of being executed. You know? Damn. And so that's what happened with me. And so they charged me with murder. I went to trial, but in the process of trial, I stood in jail for about 11 months. And I was getting tired, man. I was getting tired of being in that same jail over and over, same bullshit. I was in Brooklyn House of Detention, you know, and I was over and over. And some of my friends, man, we were playing cards all day, just playing cards. That get boring, you know. So I was saying, man, listen, just give me whatever they're gonna do. Other than execution, if they offer me a plea, I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it. I'm going upstate. I'm going to do my time because the faster I take the plea, the faster I get home. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So it so happened that they gave me a plea of manslaughter 2, which carries a sentence of 20 to life. I said, well, I do at least 10 years and I'm out. I'm gone. That's how I'm thinking. But they didn't give me 20. They didn't give me that. They gave me 7.5 to 15 years.
Okay.
I said, what? I said, cool, I'll take it anytime. I took it and I ran with it. You know, like 2 months later, I was gone upstate. You know, and as you notice, I'm not even reading this no more.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going straight from my mind, trying to see that I don't forget nothing.
I hear you.
So I go upstate, and the first place they took me to was Elmira Reception. Everybody has to go to Elmira Reception in New York State, that is, because that's where they make an assessment. They, you know, you stay there 2 months. You see a psychiatrist, you see a social worker, and then they make assessments of who you are or who they think you are. You see what I'm saying? And then they determine where you're going to go. They never tell you their assessment. They never tell you that. You're not supposed to know that. Wow. You see, that's a secret between the system. Everybody say, well, is he crazy? Yeah, he's crazy. But let's not tell him he's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit. You know?
So they give you like a psychological evaluation.
Exactly. That's what they do. They give you a psychological evaluation. And based on that, they determine where you're going.
But they don't even tell you the results of the psychological
evaluation. They never tell you. Nobody ever knows that. Other than the system. Other than the system knows it. You know, they get together, you know, like the Ku Klux Klan, and they say, yeah, we're gonna burn this house down. You know, like that. You know, there's something wrong. No, there ain't nothing wrong with him, but let's keep him anyway because he's an asset. He's an asset. He's an asset to us.
That's crazy.
You know? And so that's what they do. And so after 2 months, they decided to send me to Eastern Correctional Facility. It's upstate New York. It's known to many of us as Nabernack. Nabernack.
Okay.
So I went to Nabernack. I stood a week in reception, and then they put me in general population, and they said, well, now you're going to start working. Now you're going to work in the tailor shop. I said, cool, I'll work in the tailor shop, ain't no problem. And so working in the tailor shop, I learned how to make clothes from patterns. You know, you take these patterns and you put them together and you cut around it and you make shirts, you make pants, you make underwears, you make socks, you make coats, etc. And I learned that. I learned it real good. As a matter of fact, a year later, I was given a certificate for being a good tailor. Not a professional tailor, but being a good tailor.
Yeah.
You know? And so that was it. But during my recreation period, I used to play handball. You know, oh man, you know, and I got good at it, bro. I became a professional handball player.
Okay.
I was good. And plus Willie, remember him?
Yeah.
He used to come to visit me and leave me. And when he left, he would leave me some money, plus 2 or 3 cartons of cigarettes. Poor Moors without a filter. God, man, that shit is strong. Because I used to smoke that shit is strong as a motherfucker. And so I said, cool. So I used to play in the yard. And you know, money in the penitentiary is called money, but it's actually cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know, so I used to take 2 or 3 packs into the yard during my recreational period, and I used to play it. And guess what? I took 3. By the time I left, by 4:30 when we were lining up, I had about 2 or 3 cartons of cigarettes in my possession. I was making big, what we call money. I was making good money. You know, and I was taking it back into my cell, man. And I said, oh shit, you know, I got all these cigarettes in my cell. So I used to smoke more than enough. You know, I said, oh shit, I ain't worried about it, man. Shit. I had cotton lined up on the wall of my cell. And so I said to myself, well, I got all this money. What am I going to do? Well, shit, I get hungry sometimes. As a matter of fact, most of the time. So let me talk to somebody in the mess hall and bring me some food on the QT. And I would give them 2 or 3 packs. And that's what I did. And then I said, damn, man. Like, I look at my clothes, I say, shit, I need my clothes to be clean and pressed and washed and all that other stuff. Let me talk to somebody in the laundry and pass them 2 or 3 packs. And shit, I'd be walking clean as the board of health, man, in the yard. Brother, I'm going to tell you something. I became a hustler. I became a hustler. You know why? Because there was people in the yard who needed cigarettes. I said, you need a pack? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm going to give you a pack. You got to give me 2 packs back. I said, okay. You know, you give me 2, I give you 2 packs, you got to give me 4 packs back. So I became a hustler. Now I look back at it as a revolutionary. I look back, I said, man, shit, you was wrong as a motherfucker, man. You know, but back then I didn't have no idea of what revolution, I didn't know nothing about that. And I'm getting to that now. Then about 6 years later, like 66, about 66.
Okay.
66, 67. This 5% brother. By that time, I was already known. I had a good reputation in the prison as a good handball player. Everybody competed. Anybody who competed with me would lose. There was nobody that could win. So this 5% came up to me and said, "Listen, brother, let me talk to you for a minute." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, I got this book I want you to read, man. I appreciate it if you read it. I said, well, what you talking about? What kind of book is it? Oh, it's the autobiography of Malcolm X. I said, the autobiography of Malcolm X? Who's Malcolm X? He said, oh, well, forget about that. Just read the book and then we could talk about it later. I said, okay, no problem. So I took the book home. I took the book back to my cell and I read it. This book woke me up. It awakened all the dead cells that I had in my brain woke up. It made me realize who the fuck I was. It made me see the world in a different perspective. Plus, it made me love myself because Malcolm always talked about love your people, love yourself. And it made me love myself. And I said, oh, shit. I never really loved myself, man. I hated myself all these years. I hated myself. After my mother was gone and my sister was in PR, I didn't give a fuck. So I hated myself. You know, and now this man here, at first I called him man, this man here is telling me to love myself. And I'm starting to understand why he's saying that. Wow. The next day when I went back out to talk to this brother, I said, brother, you know something? You woke me up, man. I said, I was deaf, dumb, and blind, as the Nation of Islam says. Deaf, dumb, and blind people, the 85% of people that are deaf, dumb, and blind, I was one of them. Oh, shit. You know, so I said to myself, let me, what y'all do? He said, well, we have our little meetings and stuff. You want to come? I said, yeah, that's cool. I'll go. So I stood in the circle and they were talking, you know, the 5% talk and you know, and I said, wow, man. All that shit was new to me, man. You know, they were talking about the Asiatic black man and the black woman is a queen and the black man is God. And I said, oh, what is happening here? I said, I don't know what's happening, but it's waking me up. It's waking me up. There's another world out there I never knew nothing about. So I started looking at it. I started looking at the world a little different. And so eventually I became a 5%er.
Mm.
I became a 5%. I couldn't avoid that. That's
Yeah.
a reality. When you don't know, when you deaf, dumb, and down and blind, and that hits you,
Mm-hmm.
you got to submit. You
Yep.
can't help it. You got to submit. And that's what I did. I submitted because I knew that they was going to help me. For me, those were my brothers. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And I would give my life for them. That's how I seen it. That's how I began seeing it.
Yeah.
And so I became a 5%er. And
Mm-hmm.
I started hanging out. I gave up handball. I gave that up. I gave up the hustling world. I gave that up, and I just hanging out, man, talking that supreme mathematics with the 5%ers,
Uh-huh.
and
I'm real tempted to be like, peace, God, how you see today's mathematics? I'm like,
yeah. you know the deal. You know the deal.
yes, yes.
And
Hey.
so I started, hanging, socializing, man. And then some months later, the administration took notice that not only I was in there in the 5%ers, but the 5%ers were growing more. And so the system always has a tendency that when they see people, especially black people, coming together, they fear that. That's a great fear. That's the downfall of the empire, the unification of all of us.
Yes.
So they had to do something to stop that. And so what they did, they began transferring people out of prison. I was one of them. I was sent to Auburn prison. Now, before I continue on that, let me say that in Nabernac, they make clothes.
Okay.
That goes out to the clothes that become commodities.
Mm-hmm.
And that commodity is sent out to corporations and factories, and that's how they pump the money back into the system.
Yeah.
Into the prison system. Now, here I am going to Auburn. Now, in Auburn, before I continue, let me say they make license plates.
Okay.
They make those signs that are on the roads. What you call that?
Got you. You talking about like the exit signs and
those kind of they make that. They make all kinds of steels and stuff like that, beds and stuff all that they make it in Auburn, but they make specifically license plates. So when you see your car, if you got a car, I know you do, in the back of it, it's a license plate. They make that in Auburn prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what
they took me to Auburn prison, but it was a blessing, bro, because it was in Auburn prison for the first time that I met one of the brothers of the Black Panther Party. And I forgot the brother's name because he's gone now. He passed away. I forgot. But he took me to the circle and he introduced me to all the other brothers that were there, Panthers, and they looked at me and they said, "Are you ready for us, man?" I said, "Yeah, brother, I'm ready. Give it to me." And they gave it to me. Every day I was going to their circle, man, and they were telling me about Marxism, Leninism, dialectical materialism, historical materialism, Che Guevara, Mao Zedong, Ho Chi Minh, Don Pedro Campo, Patrice Lumumba, Jomo Kenyatta. They were telling me everything. And I said, "Oh God!" And Franz Fanon, let me not forget that brother, man. That's a hell of a brother, man. and so I started all this information I was getting in my head. I didn't, but it woke me up more. Now I wasn't thinking no more 5%ers. I was thinking more Panther vision. And the Panthers, and for about a year and a half, they were always pumping it into me. And I never got tired. I would say, I would give it to me, brother. And here. And then they said, repeat it. I had to repeat everything they said. I said, God. And that's how I learned. I learned the hard way, brother.
Yeah.
And so one of the brothers said, now we're going to give you a name.
Mm.
And I said, what you going to call me? They said, we're going to call you Che. I said, Che? He said, yeah, Che Guevara, you know him now, don't you? I said, yeah, I know. He said, well, you know what Che means? I said, no. They said, a lot of people don't know this. He said, Che means friend.
Mm.
I said, what? It means friend? He said, yeah, Che was a friend of the world. That's why he dedicated his life to the people, because he loved the people, and he was their friend. And I said, you got a point on that? You got a point. And so I said, no, but by then I already had some insight. And so I added two other names to it.
Mm-hmm.
I added Aguevana Guarionex, which was two names from my native people in Puerto Rico. And Guarionex means brave Lord.
Okay.
And oh God, I get confused. Guarionex. Let me see, man. God. See, I forget, man. Guarionex.
Take your time.
Anyway, Guarionex. Mm-hmm. And so I took that name and I lived up to it all these years. And for the last almost 60-some years, I've used that name, Che. When you first met me, you say, oh, I can't pronounce the Nieves. And I was saying to myself, I hope you never pronounce it. You know why?
Yeah, you did. You did tell me that.
You know why? Because it's my flame name. I prefer you call me Che.
Got you.
Then you call me, hi, Nieves. Some people here, man, they say, how you say Nieves? I said, whatever. Call me Nieves if you want to. I don't care. Because it boils down to a slave master's name anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after about a year and a half being in Auburn, being in the Panthers, some of us got transferred. And like the old procedure, the system always gets notice of things, and so I was transferred to Attica.
So let me ask you this.
This was in 69.
This is in 69. Let me ask you this real quick. So when you got transferred to Attica, did they give you a justification, or just moved you just to separate you? Because I was always my understanding Attica is like one of the rough, joints place.
Attica has always been one of the roughest, and I'm going to talk about Attica. I'm going to put Attica to the ground. But the thing is, every time they transfer somebody, they had their reasons for transferring them. And the reason they transferred me most of the time because I was, according to them, I was a militant, I was a revolutionary, I was a communist, I was a troublemaker. You name it, they called it. You know what I'm saying?
It was more of a political thing.
That was their reason for transferring us, or some of us, or many of us. But in particular to me, that was one of the reasons why they transferred me, because they saw the evolution within me. Coming from the 5%ers to the Black Panthers, that was an evolution in itself.
Yeah, for real.
Because you got to give up a lot of concepts that you already upheld.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
You can't call yourself God no more. You got to call yourself a soldier.
Exactly. You're a freedom fighter.
You know what I'm saying? You got to call yourself a soldier. And so that was that. And so they transferred me to Attica. And let me say, I without even looking at this, I went past this book. Yeah, I went, I went so far without even thinking. That was good. I mean, okay, brother, you give me some good vibes, man.
Hey, man. Hey,
You know, okay.
hey, hey.
After
I might fall out, but continue with your conversation. I might fall out for a second though, but I'm with
okay, uh, when I got to Attica, I was ready to begin organizing the Latino population because I saw within Attica itself the discrimination that was going on of my people in that prison. You know, the visitations. If nobody spoke English, the visitations were prohibited. The letters in Attica, if they were Spanish, it was ripped up and thrown in the garbage. Uh, Many of my brothers who went to the infirmary for various illnesses, and if they didn't speak English, the doctor, which was a Nazi, he
you.
would automatically give this man not only a pill, which he gave everybody, an aspirin, but he would laugh in his face. Like, you sound so funny. Ha 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 ha. That was a Nazi.
Damn.
And so I saw my people, and my people in particular, the Latinos, how they were being discriminated against. The Jim Crow was heavy in Attica, particularly directed at the Hispanic population. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all, because in spite of it all, in spite of the fact that racism existed in prison, period, in Attica it existed the most.
Mm.
You know, and Attica is no joke. Attica is no joke. Attica is a horrible place to be in. I when you, and especially when you go to segregation, they call it the box.
Mm.
When you go to segregation in Attica, you go in there to get beat up, to get abused, to get tortured, and on some occasions to get killed.
Mm.
You know, I mean, some people went to segregation and never came back.
Damn.
You didn't see them no more. They were gone with the wind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I saw my brother, my Panther brothers that came with me. And I said, listen, bro, well, listen, brothers, man, I want to start an organization. And they said, yeah, we got one for you. I said, what? The Young Lost Party. I said,
Mm.
yeah. I said, cool, man. You gonna help me build it? He said, yeah. Now all you gotta do, you gotta go out there, man, and talk to to your people, and and organize them. And if you need any help from us, we'll give it to you. Because we always, me and even though, man, I branched out in various ways, went with the Young Lost, but we were always in alliance with the Black Panther Party. They were our mentors. They've always been
Mm-hmm.
our mentors, even in the streets. Because the 10-point program, the 13-point program of the Young Lost has a similarity to the 10-point program of the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, it's a family, And so the brother said, "Go ahead, man." So I put this table together in the yard, and I started saying, I see people, yo, brother, come here, man, let me talk to you. Yo, brother, come here, let me talk to you. But I was telling them in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and then I run it out. I run it. I run the story. I give them a history of Puerto Rico, and I tell them, man, how Puerto Rico was invaded by the United States.
Mm.
I tell them, man, how the first year of the invasion, how they bombed San Juan, Puerto Rico, that it almost totally destroyed that whole city. A lot of people don't know about that, but they bombed it. And I talked about that. And I talked about Don Pedro Vizcacampo, how he was tortured in the jail, because all his main concern was to provide to obtain the independence of Puerto Rico. See,
Mm.
and another thing about that is that when Spain decided to uplift their colonialization, and they gave us independence. See, a lot of people don't know that either. They gave us independence. They declared us free to do and dictate whatever we wanted to do. But at that very moment in time, the United States invaded and took over. So we never had the chance to actually grow as an independent people.
Just had one colonizer to another colonizer.
Exactly, from one colonizer to another. So Puerto Ricans have really never knew what it meant to be free. Never. I mean, we ain't gonna talk about Taínos, because that's another story. But because so that's what happened. So I started propagandizing, let me say, amongst my population, and we I was able to get about 20 people in 2 days.
Wow.
And they came together because they like the way I talk, and plus I get along with people. You see, and sometimes how you respond to situations is what you get back. So I gave them good vibes, and they gave me some good vibes, and as a result, we came together as a family. And so I founded the first Young Law Party in Attica prison. By a month's time, we had about 30 people. So I started saying, well, listen, I'm the chairman. I'm going to start giving people some leadership here. So I gave some brothers the Minister of Education, some brothers Minister of Defense, some others Minister of Culture, etc., go down the line, and everybody had a title. Some people, man, especially Puerto Rican, you give them a title, they feel good. Oh, wow. But that was okay because it raised the incentive to do more. And so, but after, then the Panthers started saying, well, listen, man, we need to organize a metal shop strike. But what I didn't tell you was that when I went to Attica, they put me in B block. Attica is comprised of 4 prisons.
Okay.
4 prisons in one. You got, and it's broken down into blocks. A block, B block, C block, and D block. Now you have another block, but I don't even consider it because that's for the goody goodies.
Okay.
They don't even exist. The goody goodies. That's like saying Kamala Harris is okay. Let's shake her hand. No, I would never shake her hand. I don't give a fuck who she is. Not Kamala Harris. And if anybody here, man, is a supporter of Kamala Harris, good for you.
I don't think you got too many of them on this platform.
Good for you. But don't send it my way because I'm gonna send some fire. I'm gonna set on fire. But anyway, and that's from time to time you got to have a little gesture, to make things go on. And so that's what happened. I found it, and after about a few months, I was taken. Oh no, let me go back. See, my mind sometimes plays wonders on me. I was in B block. They transferred me. They at first I was in D block, and then they transferred me from D block to B block, and so I went to B block. And some Panther brothers they talked about let's start a metal strike. Because I mean, sure, we working like slaves here, and the salary is only 20 cents a day. And here we are making medals for various things, and we ain't getting shit, you know. And so I said, yeah, you know, they call that exploitation.
Yep, exactly.
They call that exploitation. I already knew the concept. They said they call that exploitation. You're right, brother. Let's start it. Let's get it going. So we organized a massive. We organized the yard, the B block, to have a strike on the metal shop, and that's in history. You got to really look for it. The metal shop strike in Attica, you got to find it. It's in history, you know. And so we had that. We organized everybody, and then we put together a few demands. You know, we wanted better. We wanted more money. We wanted better conditions in our working situation, you know. And plus, we threw in there a few others. You know, we wanted better food. We want to stay out in the yard a little bit longer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But nevertheless, it took hold. The masses took hold of this, and they wanted to have it. And so Mancusi, who happened to be the warden, he said, yeah, this Mr. Nieves, he's always starting his trouble. You know, we're gonna get rid of this motherfucker. And I heard it. Somebody told me that they heard him say that. You know, and I said, yeah, they're gonna get rid of me, huh? They said, yeah, they're gonna get rid of you. And they did. They took me, put me in segregation and beat the shit out of me, you know, and then they transferred me from Greenhaven, from Attica to Greenhaven prison.
Okay.
I'm going back to Attica, but I had to go through the process, you know, because they were playing ping pong with me.
Gotcha.
You know, they were playing ping pong. This is a ping pong game. And so they sent me to Greenhaven. When I got to Greenhaven, I ran into this Puerto Rican brother, man, who was a Panther. And he wanted desperately to start something pertaining to the Latinos. I said, brother, man, here I am. I'm here. Let's do it. Let's do it. And so we started organizing. We started propagandizing in the population, etc. And would you believe it that in 2 days we had about 15 people? You know, and I said, wow, brother, man. You know, he said, you say you was a chairman in Attica? I said, yeah, I was a chairman. He said, well, you still be the chairman here. You know, the only thing is that I'm going to be Minister of Defense. I said, cool, you got that. You know, because he's good, man, with his. Yeah. I said, yeah, okay. So what he set up a regiment. You know, by a month's time, brother, we had about 35 people. You know, a month's time. You know, so he set up a regiment where some people would do exercises, jumping jacks and running and all that stuff. Others would do karate and kung fu and stuff like that. And a few would be at the table, you know, talking to people who were coming in. You see what I'm saying? So we had 3 things going for us. And boy, I'm gonna tell you, by a month's time, we had close to 40 people, man. The party just grew. It was tremendously, you know. And I said, we doing good, brother, you know. He said, yeah, good. So we kept on doing it until, of course, as always, the system took notice of me. And they said, well, we're going to transfer it, brother. Wait a minute. We're going to transfer this, brother. Transfer me too. Back to Attica. They were playing ping pong with me, man. I'm telling you, man. They're back to Attica. So I went back to Attica, you know, but first I had to go to the segregation. I had to be in segregation. And I went to see Mancusi, who was the one. He said, you ain't going to come back in here and start all kinds of shit. The next time I hear anything about you doing anything, I'm going to throw you in the segregation, and you're never going to come. You're never going to leave. I looked at him. I said, you got anything else to say? He said, no. I said, thank you. Let me go. That was it. Because I didn't want to. What's the purpose of arguing with a pig? A pig is a pig. Right? It's lousy. A pig doesn't understand unless it's pork. You know, so I said, yeah, okay, cool. So I went back to the yard, and it was Man, them comrades were so happy to see me back, and it was close to 40 people. I couldn't believe it. I said, oh shit, man. Man, y'all been doing a lot of work here. So we started doing it. So as time went on, this was like in the 70s now. 70s. As time went on, the Panthers decided that they wanted to formulate another branch of the Black Panther Party, but not name it the Black Panther Party. They were going to name it the People's Party. Maybe you heard that. If you read Attica, you'll see that the People's Party is involved in that. And say, yeah, okay, we'll formulate the People's Party. And so they formulated the People's Party. Some people left the Panther. Didn't leave. They just went from the Panther Party to the People's Party. And so that gave them more boost in the yard to do more work, because responsibility was scattered and shared between both of those groups. You see what I'm saying? And so that was cool. They always came to us for advice, and we always went to them for advice, man. And we were doing the right thing. And time passed. And then it got to a point where they said, well, the People's Party said, well, we need to formulate another organization within the People's Party, but we're not going to call it the People's Party. We're going to call it the Attica Liberation Fraction.
Okay.
I said, okay, cool. Because I used to sit in their Central Committee meetings. I said, yeah, cool, that's cool. I don't have no problem. I don't have no problem. Okay, well, good. And so 3 people took the leadership of the Attica Liberation Fraction. I ain't gonna mention no names. And they started working. Their purpose was to come up with a strategy to put together some demands to present to the administration as well as to the Commissioner of Correction, And so they put together 29 demands. Those were the same demands that was used in the yard during the Attica Rebellion. Those were first put together by the Attica Liberation Fraction.
Okay.
And so they put these 29 demands together, and they said, well, now we're going to talk to the warden. So I said, hey, well, you don't need to talk to that pig, man, because he's not going to listen to us. What he's going to do, all he knows is transferring people from one place to another, and we can't afford right now to be transferred. We got to do some work. So he said, yeah, okay. So we'll pass, we'll give him a copy of it, but we're going to send Commissioner Oswald the demands. And so, yeah, okay, let's and he was just fairly new at the job, but he was known as a reformist, whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but he was known as a reformist. And so we I say we because I felt part of it. We send the commissioner these demands. A few weeks later, he came to see us. Not me. He came to see the 3 brothers that were assigned to be part of the Attica Liberation Fraction. He came to see them. But I say me. When I say me, you understand what I'm saying.
I got you. Yeah.
He came to see us, and he said that, well, y'all look like y'all got a good thing going here. The demands seem to be reasonable. So what we're going to do is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take more notice. I'm going to study it some more, and I'll get back to you on this. By the way, we said, this motherfucker's bullshit, man. It's either make a decision right now or what. That we talk about, immediate decision. We ain't talking about no future things, man. Native American people been waiting, man, for the last 400 years for something, and they ain't got it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Black people been waiting for so many years, you know, for shit, man, that they ain't got it yet. You know, and so we, being the vanguards, we call ourselves the vanguards. We have not gone to tolerate that bullshit. And Oswald said, no, but just give me some time. Give me some time to put it together, and I'll get back to you. I'll come back to see you and tell you my decision. Okay, that sounds good. And we left it at that.
Okay.
Time passed, and now one night we was locked up in our cells, and all of a sudden we heard a bullhorn say, "Oh shit, Oswald speaking." So we listened, and he was saying, "I studied your demands, and they seem to be fairly reasonable. Change will be coming. Don't worry about it."
Okay.
What the fuck is he saying? Change will be coming. Don't worry about it. What the fuck? Everybody got aggravated. Everybody got angry. People didn't want to hear that shit no more. And I said, man, fuck it, man. Let's do something. No. Let's take it easy. Let's wait and see what's happening here. Nothing happened. Then on August 21st, 1971, we heard the news that brother George Jackson was killed.
Yep.
And so all of us got together in the yard. I was mad as a motherfucker. I was crying, you know, and they were saying, "Oh, wait a minute. When I speak of George Jackson, I get very emotional, man. Hold up. That was a hell of a brother, man, you know?" You know, I shouldn't say this, but we was in contact with each other.
Okay.
You know, to the underground, we was in contact. You know, so when you see me getting teary, it's because he was real close, closer than what people think. You know, so we heard that brother George was killed, and we were all mad, man. We didn't know what to do. We said, well, what should we do? So some brother said, well, listen, let's have a hunger strike in the yard. Let's have a hunger strike. In the mess hall, let's have a hunger strike. Everybody goes in, but nobody picks up no plates. Nobody picks up no silverwares. You sit in the table, you mind your business, you stay quiet, and then you walk out when you're supposed to, and that's it. Leave it alone. Some of us that are going to be leaders in this, we wear black armbands. I was one of them who wore it. We put black armbands on, and so we said, how are we going to do this, man? You know, he said, well, we're going to do this in 2 days, man. So we're going to start right now. We're going to start organizing. So we spread the message all over the prison, all through the blocks, you know, for the 22nd, really, because we only had 24 hours to do this. For the 22nd to have a massive hunger strike. And we did it. We were successful. In spite of it all the white people in the yard contributed. They supported us wholeheartedly. And so the next day, man, everybody in each block, man, they walk into the mess hall in a line. They pass the food, don't even look at it, and they sit down, don't say shit. And then when the police knocks on the wall, that means stand up. And so we stood up and we walked out. It was very successful, a very successful mass hunger strike, you know. And so, you know, we thank the white, I must say, the white comrades for supporting us, because prior to that, racism was rampant in prison in Attica, you know. But we did a lot of work, and see, the Panthers and the Young Lords throughout the years did a lot of work amongst white people, so that by the time the explosion came in September 9th, everybody was involved. And the reason why everybody was involved, because throughout the years, we did a lot of work with white people to have them support us. You see, the racism amongst white people and black people, and that you didn't see that shit. White people started hanging out with us, etc. We was hanging out with them. We became brothers. And so a few weeks later, September 8th, we was, in A block. There was, in September, it wasn't in the block, it was in the yard. Two brothers were playing with each other, sparring, right? They were sparring, and the police came over and said, "Stop it." So they looked at the police and said, "Well, we ain't doing nothing, man. Mind your business." So he kept on sparring. So the lieutenant came over and tried to stop it. And one of the brothers, by accident, put his elbow and hit him in the face. So the lieutenant looked at it and didn't say nothing. He said, okay. He left it be. So that night, the goon squad, we call it goon squad, they came to A block, and they took those two brothers that were sparring out, and they beat them up before they took in the cell, beat them up. Everybody else was locked in already. And so, people was yelling, "Hey, motherfucker, why you do what you're doing? Leave that brother alone," all that shit, And so they took these two brothers out and took them to segregation. We knew we didn't know what was going to happen. We knew there was a possibility of both of them getting killed. We didn't know that, especially the one who elbowed the lieutenant. You don't hit a cop, they say, so they quote unquote. You don't hit a cop in prison and get away with it. There's bad consequences, hard consequences that you face when you do that. And so the next day in a yard, we was, the brothers came out, they were going to the mess hall, etc. And one of the brothers, Latino, who happened to be in one of those galleries, they didn't let him out. They didn't let him out because they claimed that he threw something at them when they came down to pick up the other brother. He threw something out the bars to one of the police. So they wanted to keep him locked up that next day so that they could come and pick him up also and take him to segregation. But that's not what happened. Well, the police, by I don't know, but he must have failed to do his work or something, because he left the locks open, and as the gallery was leaving, one of the brothers opened up and let that brother out. So he went to the mess hall with him. So the police came looking for him and didn't find him. You see, so everybody that was coming back from the mess hall in A block, the police said, "You're not going to, you are not." See, now remind you, that was the next day on the 9th, September 9th. He said that when they went to the mess hall to eat breakfast, and as they were coming back, they expected to go into the yard for their recreation, while other brothers were going to their jobs. But this particular company, A company, wanted to go to the yard. This is the company that LD Barkley, who happened to be reading the demands in the yard. I don't know if you've seen it, but he was reading the demands. He's the one that said, "The sound before the fury of those who are oppressed." He's the one, and he was reading all the demands. So they told these brothers, "You're not going to the yard. You're going back to your cell." They said, "No, hell no. We're not going back to our cell." And all hell broke loose. It was at that moment, September 9th, all hell broke loose. Everybody started punching on the police, and as police was passing, you snatch them, and you beat them up, and then you take them as a hostage. I was in B block. I was in B block, and I heard the siren go off. I said, "Oh shit! What the fuck is happening here?" And they said, "Yeah, well, something happening." Everybody in B block didn't know what was happening. What's happening? Because the siren was going off, but it was going off kind of heavy, man. Kind of loud. I mean, and so people said, "Damn, man." So I started looking down towards the door where you go out towards the outside door, and I seen this brother, man, who I known as Sam Melville. He was a weatherman in the street. They
Okay.
call him the Mad Bomber. They call him the Mad Bomber. He was in Attica. He was a hell of a good brother, man. And he was looking through his window. I said, "What the hell is he doing there, man?" And they kept on banging and banging and banging until the door gave in and they came in. And Sam Melville said, "Everybody is free now. You free." I looked at this brother. I said, "How the hell we gonna be free? We in prison." But I knew what he was saying, so I just said, "That's cool." So I started running with everybody else. Everybody was running different ways. So I ran with the majority. Now, in Times Square, this is the place where a guard he has control of all the gates, of all the gates. And so the people in A block was trying to push against the gate to open that up to get in and take that guard, that police hostage. And for some reason, the door gave in and they moved in and took him a hostage. But whoever took him hostage must have beat him up severely. His name was William Quinn. He's the only guard that died in prison, that died in Attica. William Quinn. And so they took him as a hostage. But we talked about, man, this man is injured, man. He needs to be taken to the hospital. And so some others, man, put him on a roller, one of those rollers you roll in the yard, and they took him to the front gate and said, "Here." By this time, all the hostages were in a circle in the yard. There's 40 hostages, 40 hostages. And so by the time I got to D yard, because that's where everything was centered, everything was being focused right in D yard. By the time I got there, you had all the hostages were there. Everybody was in the yard smoking and drinking, and oh man, it was crazy. It was chaotic. Everybody was having a ball, But listen, you got to understand that there was people, man, who haven't seen the sky, man, for so long.
Yeah.
And it was getting a little dark. So it was chaotic, man. And then Brother Champ, which was he was a jailhouse lawyer, who happened to he died just recently. Roger Champ, I spoke to the brother and I said, "Listen, man, we need to get this place in order, man. Because once I came out into the yard, I went straight to the Black Panthers. I went straight to the People's Party. I went straight to the Attica Liberation Faction, and I went straight to the Young Lost. We all got together, And then we said, well, what's going to happen, man? And so Roger Champ, he said, "I'm gonna talk to them brothers, man." So he took a bullhorn. He said, "Brothers, we are in a serious and very delicate situation here. We got men here who are hostages, and you know what that means. We need to stop drinking. We need to stop fucking around, and we need to start getting serious. Because if not, we all gonna die right here.
Mm.
You know, so at that moment, unbelievable, what was a chaotic became organized. And that's dialectics. That's dialectics. Became
Yep.
organized. That's dialectics, man. You know,
Yep.
because
Eh,
sometimes the organized come from the disorganized. You know,
mhm.
that's dialectic. And so it became a united people. We all
Mm.
came together. We was no longer seeing each other as black or white, whatever. We was brothers.
Yeah.
You know, we became at that moment on, we became a family. You know, but before I even go further on that, let me say something about the racism that happened. There was times in Attica where the police will come to the door and open up the door to the yard with what they call white ice. He said, "White ice." They'll throw the bucket out into the yard, and guess who came to get it? White people.
Mm.
White ice, white people. They'll running to get the ice. This is in the summertime now,
Mhm.
and then you'll come again with another bucket, and they say black ice. Throw it in the yard. Everybody, all people of color will be running to get that ice. Ain't that a kick in the ass? The differentiation between ice. Ice is
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah, white ice and black ice. Damn.
Yeah, they have white ice and black ice. I said, damn. So this just to show you a portion of how racism used to be in Attica. You know,
Mhm.
Attica was very horrible place to be. You know, the thing is that in Attica, toilet paper was given once a week.
Mm.
No, toilet paper was given once a month. Sorry, my
Yeah.
mistake. A shower once a week. Once a
Damn.
week, you take a shower. So throughout the night, every night they'll give you 2 gallons of water, and you have to take that water and do whatever you have to do with it, but it has to last you because until the next day
Mm.
you're in trouble. You know, you couldn't if you took a shower today, you have to wait a whole fucking week, man, in order to take another shower. So
Wow.
the 2 buckets of water, you have to wash yourself with it, brush your teeth, etc. So you know that was crazy.
Mm.
Visitation, if you Spanish, you couldn't. The family couldn't see you because they speak Spanish. Nobody there to speak English, Spanish. Everybody spoke
Mhm.
English. And of course, when you talk of Attica, you talk about the families that worked in Attica. They all come from the same village. There was a village in Attica called the Attica Village, and everybody from that village worked in Attica. So everybody was kissing cousins, kissing uncles, kissing sisters, etc.
Mm.
Everybody was a family. You know, the
Yeah.
police. You know, so that was the medication. If you were sick, they'll give you like I was saying before, they'll give you an aspirin. You know, and you if you okay, regardless of what illness you had, you'll be given an aspirin, and there was never a contact between you and the doctor. There was a screen, so
Damn.
you talk to this doctor to the screen, and he'll pass it to a hole your aspirin, and that was it. And if you were Spanish, forget it. They say ha 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 ha. They laugh in your face because
Yeah.
for them you spoke funny.
Mm.
You know, and it's a kick in the ass. You know, there was no education facilities there. The food was lousy. The food was lousy. I mean, really lousy. You know,
Yeah.
and there was no religious services. Muslims could not attend to their religious services in the yard. You know, because that was a no. You know, and plus there was no food for Muslims there because everything was constantly pork. You know,
Damn.
so the place was horrible, man. I mean, it was really horrible. And that's one of the reasons, amongst many other reasons, why people decide they got fed up with the bullshit, man. You know, if you take a dog and you put him up against a corner and you always hit him and always hit him and always hit him, eventually, regardless how much that dog loves you, he's gonna bark at you.
Yep.
Or else try to bite you. It's nature, man. That's human. That's nature. That's the laws of nature. And that's what it was in Attica. Yeah. It got to a point where we were just tired, man. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What do you, in a minute, I'm going to go to the audience, read some of the comments and converse with them. But let me ask you this. What do you think is the legacy of the Attica Rebellion? You know what I'm saying? What can we learn from that? What should we take from that?
First of all, the legacy is resistance. Resistance. When you get caught in a situation like that, just like slavery, chattel slavery, the slaves always rebelled. There was always rebellions in those plantations. You know, they don't tell you about it, but every time there was a rebellion in those plantations. You know, Attica is resistance. That's the legacy of it. And as long as Attica continues to be, there's going to be continuation of Atticas. There's going to be more than just one Attica. There's going to be many Atticas. And so I say the legacy of Attica is struggle and resistance.
Kind of in the same spirit of the whole Black August and
in the same spirit, man. The same spirit of Black August. It's the same spirit, you know. So when George Jackson's memorial comes around, that's the legacy of Attica. You know, because George Jackson is part of Attica. So when you look at George Jackson, you see Attica. When you see Attica, you see George Jackson.
So let me ask you about this. Speaking of George Jackson, how big of an influence? Because like you kind of alluded to, and I know you can't just speak too openly about it because I get where you're coming from.
No, man, you know, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, but I feel you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, we probably have more conversations after this. But what type of influence did he have on just the brothers as far as like political awareness and, you know, consciousness, you know, if any?
Well, first of all, understand the history of George Jackson. George Jackson comes from a history like mine.
Yes.
You know, and as quiet as it's kept, it's like a history of Malcolm X. You know, Malcolm X grew up in the streets, you know, and so did I, and so did George Jackson, you know, and so, you know, here's a brother, man, that for whatever reason, he steals $75 from the gas station. He didn't hurt nobody. He didn't abuse nobody. He didn't kill nobody. And yet he got one to life.
Yep.
You know, so how do you think, when you think about it, how will you feel in that situation? Really fucked up, man. Yep. Because he wasn't expecting that from the system. You know, he wasn't expecting that from the system. And plus, George Jackson at that time, he wasn't political, period. So he was looking for some type of justice from the system, and he didn't get it. So when he got into prison, he ran into some brothers that politicized him. You know, and the first thing he did was start the what was that, the Black Guerrillas?
Black Guerrilla, yep, Black Guerrilla family.
He started that organization, the Black Guerrillas. George Jackson was a fighter. George Jackson was a freedom fighter. George Jackson was, let me see, how could I describe George Jackson? George Jackson was a heart. He was a heart. He loved his people. He loved us a lot. You know, as a matter of fact, he loved everybody. He wasn't discriminatory. He wasn't, you know. And I think that because of who he was and where he was going, just like the Black Panther Party, they had to kill him. They had to kill him. People that get to that level as George Jackson, the system has to get rid of them because they become a threat to their own security.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to their own security. And so it's like the Panthers, man. The Panthers became a threat to the system because the Panthers knew what the problem was and how to resolve it. And if the Panthers would have been let go, if they would allow the Panthers to be, there won't be no capitalism today. If they would allow George Jackson to live, probably there would have never been an Attica.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
But I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did. I want to go to some excuse me, some of the comments from the people. Let me see. B.
Lily Queen is part of my my Facebook. She's
Okay.
on my Facebook.
Yeah. She be everywhere, man.
I know. It's a beautiful sister, man. Very beautiful.
Yeah, she is. She, you know, a very beautiful, very strong sister.
Exactly. She's a queen in herself.
Yep. See, here's a one from Be All You Can Be. It says, Brother Che, glad to see you again, comrade. She said this is soul sister. Okay. AKA Be All You Can Be. I see Freedom Power checking in. How you doing, Freedom Power? Melly Queen said, thank you. I'm not shaking her hand either. She talking about Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Melly Queen again, she said, speaking my language. And I think she was responding when you talk about the development of the People's Party.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. True comrade. I'm not sure what she was responding to, what we was talking about this time. I know
we both comrades.
Yeah.
She responded to both of us.
Yeah. Now I know she was talking to you though, because I remember it popped up and it was something specific you said. I just don't remember what it was. I think you were talking about I forgot it. I'm sorry. And here is our vice president checking in. He said, again, these are examples of inhumane conditions that exist then in those conditions only slightly. Talking about the prisons, we was talking about how the conditions were in Attica, and that, you know, as terrible as they were, they really haven't improved all that much. You know, they still have.
There hasn't been no improvement. You know, but we still got. I got to tell you about the whole the 13 and how we organize and all. But we'll do that. Don't worry about it. Go ahead. I want to hear what the people got to say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Definitely. Madam Vice President said absolutely correct, and she was responding to when I asked you what was the legacy of Attica, and you was like saying a legacy of resistance in the same.
That sister, what's her name?
I know it. Ayo Deli.
Yeah, I be going to her. She's on this program too at times.
Yeah. She has.
I watch her. She doesn't know it, but I watch. You know, I love how she talks, man. You know, she be saying some good stuff, man.
Yeah. She a very strong sister. Very strong,
man. Very powerful.
Yeah. We go way back. Way back. Comrade Bo Money, who was actually on the show last week, said free the land. He also said, tell them where the Attica Manifesto comes from.
Where the Attica Manifesto came from?
Mm-hmm.
It came from the Attica Liberation Fraction, but actually it came from the Black Panther Party.
Mm.
You know, and it actually came from the Young Lost as well, because we all had an input on the manifesto. The manifesto was 29 demands, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
eventually was read off in the yard during the rebellion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My bad. I fell off for a second. Melly Queen, she responded, said, that's what's up. Thank you, comrades. She responded to your kind words. You making her blush out there.
I only call it like it is, man. You know, when you wrong, I call it too, you know, but when you right, I give you a lot
No
of
doubt.
credit.
No doubt. Now, man, you have like such a fascinating a story, or so fascinating life, and I mean, there's a lot of things that I did not realize. You know how I always said that I kind of feel this like connection with you, and it's like we are like I resonate with a lot of things that you say. Interesting is like, now I never went to prison, never experienced
And don't,
prison
and
rebellion.
don't, and don't.
Yeah. Well, we all in prison.
I'm gonna have to get some of my people, man, and get you out of there.
but I actually, you know what I'm saying? I like started, I was kind of networking, studying and building with the Nation of Islam. And from that, I moved to like the 5% Nation, because there was more like, street young, youthfulness. And I was building to that, just, like you. And ultimately I met brother by the name of General Hamisha, which was former Panther, Black Liberation Army, part of the prison, system. And he's one that taught me all them things that you mentioned, which really, I went through that same evolution from, brother who been into like saying, yeah, peace God, to being a soldier and understanding how to, look at things from a concrete, analytical, objective reality from that perspective. So it's like I resonate exactly what you're saying, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I feel where you came from. So that's why I like everything you say.
So you knew or heard of Charles 13X then, right?
Yes, exactly. The Father. Yeah.
Who they call the Father Divine.
Father Divine. Yep, exactly. I mean, it's tripping out. You know what I'm saying? Because I was not expecting to hear this from you, comrade. But
I got the whole history, man. Going back to Jakku and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, come on. Yeah.
I know how he was made.
Yakub's graphic devil. Hey, Bo Money said, who is Big Black?
Who was Big Black? He was a brother, man. He was the security in the yard. That's a hell of a good brother. Before the Attica Rebellion, he wasn't political at all. What made him political was when he got involved in the political. He got involved in the rebellion, and we assigned him to be head of security to protect them, to protect the observers going out and coming in, and protecting everybody in that yard. He had a hell of a responsibility.
Wow. Now that's Bo Money. He was on the show last week. And
he just died about 5 years ago. Big
so what now?
Yeah, he transitioned.
Okay.
He transitioned. Cancer killed him. Just like it's killing a lot of our people. I don't know what's happening with that, but
yeah, I know, man. I know.
I know.
Yeah.
Big Black is a hell of a good brother, man. A hell of a good brother. And he came out here, him and Akil Ajundi, they came out here, man, and started the Attica Liberation what was it? No, self-defense, the Attica Self-Defense Committee. Because there were some brothers that were being indicted as a result of the Attica Rebellion. And Big Black was one of them. But Big Black was the one that they put in the yard. They put him in the back with a football underneath his neck, and they told him, if you move that football, we're gonna kill you.
Damn.
And they were smoking. The police were smoking and dropping ashes on his private. on his pride.
Damn.
You know, so he got scars all over his body as a result of that, man. You know, I'm gonna talk about that when we go on, man. You know, but because there was a lot of stuff that happened in the yard, and I'll talk about what happened to me in the yard too during that whole thing.
Yeah.
After you came, I'm gonna tell you about some stuff that you're gonna blow your mind.
Yeah. Well, you might go on for it, because like in a minute I'm gonna have to wrap up, because I got some other things going on that I gotta attend to.
Okay,
So
so we organized the central. I'm gonna call the central committee, which was a committee that was representation of everybody in the 4 yards. You know, had a representative in that committee, and then we ordered. We demanded people to come in from the yard, from the outside, to come and see us. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but some people that are listening may not like it, but we invited the Black Panther Party to come, and and Bobby Seale came. But believe it or not, I did not like none of his shit that he did, because he talked about, man, you know, he took the bullhorn for a minute. He spoke about, oh, how you doing, brothers? I hope everything is okay. And then he told his bodyguards, let's go, man, let's get out of here. And they booked. All the Attica brothers will tell you that. The same thing I'm telling you. You know, Bobby still only stood there for 4 minutes. That's all, 4 minutes. You know, just like Farrakhan. Farrakhan was invited to come to the yard, but he didn't come because Elijah Muhammad told him not to come. You know, wow. So what's happening here, man? These are Black people, man. We want our people to come to see us, man, so we can report what's happening in the yard. But they didn't come. They failed to come. You know, and anybody who's out there, I'm sorry to say that, man, but I have to tell the truth.
No,
you know, you talk to another Attica brother, they'll tell you the same thing about Bobby Seals. But nevertheless, he's still my brother, man. It don't take nothing away. He just did the wrong thing at the wrong time. Yeah. You know, and so let me advance it up to September 13. September 13, man, after everything was said and done, and after we all discussed all the demands, you know, Rockefeller refused to come in. He refused to even talk to the observers. He didn't want nothing. All he wanted to do was to come in and kill. He was determined to kill. You know, but remember who Rockefeller is. Rockefeller is one of the richest. He's part of the ruling class. A lot of people don't know this. He's part of the ruling class. Rockefeller.
Yeah, he is,
Rockefellers, the Millers, the Force, all the people part of the ruling class. You know, and so he didn't come. You know, September 13th, here I am sitting in the yard, man, you know, because the night before, man, was raining, and I'm sitting in that yard, and all of a sudden I look up and I see a helicopter coming in. I thought, man, it was Fidel Castro was coming in to take us out of there and take us to Cuba, because one of the demands in the imperialists, I did it, I'm the one that put that demand in there, was to go to an imperialistic country. You know, but when I saw that helicopter, I said, oh, shit, oh, Fidel coming to get me. But it wasn't Fidel. It was the pigs, man, who were coming in, man, and they dropped that tear gas. When they dropped that tear gas, that's all they needed to do. They didn't have to start shooting, because the tear gas in itself made us defenseless. You know, we could see, we could move, etc. And then the helicopter has the nerve of saying, put your hands on top of your head and surrender to the nearest officer. How the hell can you surrender to somebody you can't even see where the hell you're going? So as people were surrendering, they were getting shot.
Damn.
You know, they were getting shot. LD survived that massacre in the yard, but at the end, before everything was said and done, they killed him. LD, they killed him, because one of the senators, people on the observers saw him alive, just like they saw Tommy Hicks, which was one of my best Panther brothers, man, who's one of my mentors, as Tommy Hicks. You know, he was killed also in the yard. And so was Sam Melville, was killed in the yard. You know, so there was people that were singled out to be killed. You know,
so it was like assassination,
meditated murder, man. It was, you know, just like say, I'm going to kill you. Here, I'm going to kill you, not kill you. because I got a beef against you. And lucky, man, that Big Black didn't get killed simply because they had him in another section, laid down on his back with his all naked, because we were all naked,
Mm-hmm.
and so once you surrender, you get shot, So what I did, I could see, I fell to the ground. And all of a sudden, as I fell to the ground, I started hearing shootings. Pop, 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 pop. I said, oh shit, what's happening here? And I looked up a little bit and I saw people falling, but it was so foggy you couldn't hardly see it. You only see shadows falling. I said, oh shit. So, having said that, after everything was said and done, after they killed 29 of us, 150 of us were seriously injured. They shot. There was a brother, Jomo. His name was Jomo. He just recently died. He was an Attica brother, just like a lot of others I'm going to talk about. I don't have the chance, but maybe another time.
Yeah.
He was shot 7 times. 7 times his brother was shot. And for the grace of I don't know who, he lived. And another brother I killed, he was shot a few times. Then there was another brother named Tyrone. He was shot. So there were some brothers who were shot and were seriously injured in the yard, and these pigs will tell them, move, move, move. How the hell can you move when you're seriously injured, man? Come on, man. But then he had no mercy for him. And as I was crawling in the mud, somebody put his feet on my head and kept on banging his feet on my head and kicking me in my ribs. I said, oh shit. And they said, move, nigga, move, nigga. And I kept on moving, move, nigga. And then at some point they said, get up. So I got up. He said, take your clothes off. I took my clothes off. He said, run to that line there. So I ran to that line in a circle of other brothers that were walking around in a circle. They were all naked. And so I got in that circle for a moment, and then they took me out that circle to put me up against the wall. And then they said, they put an X on my back, and then they put me up against the wall, and I had my head up on the wall with my hands on the wall. And there was other brothers there. There was Champ, there was Herb, there was Jerry the Jew, Dalu, and a few other brothers that were on the wall. And when it came to my turn, the lieutenant said, "Who you want us to contact from your family?" I looked at him. I said, "Why, you gonna kill me?" He said, "Who you want us to contact in your family?" And I said, "Well, you gonna kill me?" Because I was arrogant with them, And they said, "Who?" I said, "Yeah, call my sister. Call my sister." But I never gave them a number. I knew that that was only bullshit, because behind us there was a state trooper sitting down with a gun. He was clicking. He was ready to shoot us. What saved us was a Senator Dunn, who came out into the catwalk and saw what was happening, and he said, "We need to stop that right now. Stop it." So they stopped it, and we had to run to a gauntlet. Now, that gun ain't no joke. There's 25 guards on this side, state troopers on this side, and we had to run right through it, and they were hitting us with sticks and batons, whatever they had in their hand, they were hitting us. And I was falling. From time to time, I'll be falling and getting up and keep on running, man. I said, fuck it, man. I ain't giving up for nothing. And I kept on falling and getting up and keep on running until I got to the end. When I got to the end, they put me in the end cell. And then when I walked in there was 2 brothers that were already shot up. One of them had 3 bullets in him. He was laying in the cell, and the other brother, he got shot in the arm. He was sitting in the floor. They both were sitting on the floor. The one that shot worse was laying down, and I said, "Yo, brothers, what's up, man? You doing, And so the guard came over. Now the cell was locked, and the guard came over and said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is Che." He said, "Yeah, you're the one I want to see. Come in." So I came to the bars. He said, "Put your chin up on the bars." I said, "So what?" You know, put your chin up in the bar. I started to be arrogant with them because I was tired of these pigs, man. But I knew that if I would have said no, they would have shot me. They would have killed me right there. Because that's what they wanted to do anyway. So I said, yeah, okay. So I gave them the justification. I gave them I gave them what they wanted. I put my chin on the bar. And then he took his gun. He had a gun. And he cocked it and he put it to my head and clicked it. Nothing came out. Nothing came out. So he said, oh, you lucky. I'll be back. But you need to keep your head on that bar, your chin on that bar. You need to keep it there. So he left. A few minutes later, another guard come and said, what you doing with your chin on your bar? Go sit down. I said, well, he said, go sit down. That's okay. I sat down. About half an hour later, the guard came back. He said, what you doing laying sitting down? I told you to keep your chin on the bar. Come here. So I put my chin back in the bar. And he took a gun again. He said, oh, shit. You lucky. I'm coming back. I'll be back. But he never did. He never came back. And so that's the end of my story for now.
Damn. Wow.
But in ending, let me say this, that 2 days later, they went in the yard and they cleaned up everything that was happening there. They cleaned up all their evidence because they knew that there was a lot of evidence. And up until this day, if it wasn't for Heather Thompson, who wrote that book, Blood in the Water, if it wasn't for her who wrote that book and was able to acquire much of the information from the archives that they were saving, we would have never known what happened in yard, because a lot of evidence was kept a secret, and they sealed the books for 50 years. 50 years, you know, and that's why, you know, when they sealed the case for 50 years. You know, 2 brothers were indicted for the killing of Anthony Quinn, who died. That guard, he died. 2 brothers were accused of that. No, 1 brother, really, 1.
Okay.
But eventually, he was a Native American, by the way. You know, and so, what was his name? I forgot his name. Anyway, they let him go, and then they sealed the case, and the whole case was closed for 50 years. Can you imagine?
Wow.
So that sister, Heather Thompson, she went through a lot of hell just to acquire a lot of information, because all the information was sealed from the public. You know, and in spite of all of that, they indicted 62 brothers, you know, for numerous charges that happened in the yard that actually wasn't crimes. They're the ones that committed the crimes, not us. But many of us were charged with it. And eventually, they had to dismiss all those cases because they didn't have enough evidence to indict anybody. Ain't that a kick in the ass? So Attica has a lot of secrets, and it's still to be known. It's still to be known. We know there's a lot of things that you don't know, and other people don't know. I may know, but a lot of people don't know that need to be told eventually. And maybe, hopefully, in the next time I come to talk to you, I'll give you some more.
Yeah, definitely, man. Damn. So, and I already pretty much know the answer to this question, but just to have to say it. Of all the atrocities that the pigs committed on our people in the Attica rebellion, were any of the pigs ever held accountable for that?
That's a $65,000 question. No, none of them has been held accountable for it. None of them. As a matter of fact, the hostages themselves, the ones that survived, they formulated the Attica Survivors. They formulated that organization. And throughout the years, they've been fighting in the courts because they want accountability.
Wow.
Which, you know, as a matter of fact, a lot of the police, the hostages that later on retired, and some of them just refused to continue working in the system. You know what happened to their families? What happened? They were offered to sign a check, a pension check. sort of, you know, and not knowing they signed a check that was saying that they could not sue the state.
Wow. Like there was
They could
hush
not
money,
sue the
basically.
state. Ain't that a kick in the ass? And none of them, you know, were able to hold anybody accountable for their own killings. You
That's
know,
crazy.
Attica has a lot of legacy, man. It has a lot of history, man. Not legacy, but a lot of history, man.
Yeah.
You know, and let me give me a 1 minute.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if those you just tuning in, we're here with Jorge Che Nieves, a survivor of
Nieves.
Nieves. I'm sorry.
Nieves.
Nieves.
As a matter of fact, don't
Nieves.
even forget about the Nieves Che.
Che. Yeah, brother Che. Okay.
If you ain't
Blood in
got
the
it,
water.
get it.
Blood in the water.
If
Definitely.
you ain't got it, get it. It tells you the whole story. The whole story. As a matter of fact, most of what I said today is in this book.
Okay. Dig that.
You
Yeah.
know?
So man, I wish I could come and chop it up with you some more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so many things that I
We got
want to.
time, brother. We got time.
Yeah, we do.
You know, not today, but we got time to do it again.
Yeah.
You know?
In closing, is there anything you want to leave the people with? Anything you want to tell the
Yeah,
people?
most definitely, man. You know, the conditions in prisons, and I'm not saying Attica alone, the conditions in prisons continue. If you don't know nobody in prison, please try to find somebody that knows somebody and start writing to them. It's very important for people in prison to hear from someone else in the streets. There's brothers and sisters in prison that don't have no families. You know, so if you ain't got no time, if you got a lot of time in your hand, start writing to some of those people, man, in prisons. You know, and also get in contact with your local congressman or whoever the fuck they are, you know, and tell them, man, to start investigating the conditions in prisons. Because you know something? Me and you, we pay taxes.
Yep,
We
we
should
do.
know where the fuck that money's going to. We don't know. We just pay taxes and don't even know where the fuck the money's going to. We need to start investigating where the fuck that money's going to. And you know where it's going? To building up the mass, to build up the prisons. For more prisons. Since 1971 to now, you know how many prisons have been built? I can't even count them.
I know it's a bunch. I know they just boom, especially when they one day
and going your way. There has been more built going your way.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so we need to stop. We need to stop this. We need to stop building these prisons, and we got to start putting pressure on our local representatives. If we got to, I ain't got no representative. My representative is Young Laws and Black Panther Party. Those are my representatives. But hey, you know, we need the people who don't have those representatives. Start talking to your local congressmen. Get them involved in what's happening in these prisons. Because if not, there's going to be another Attica. And I don't know what's happening in Georgia and Alabama as lately. There was a strike going on there. I don't know what's happening. But I'm pretty sure it's over. And as a result, I know some brothers and sisters been hurt in that.
Yep.
We need to find out what the fuck is happening with them.
Yep, you're right, brother. You're right, comrade. You're right.
Because it is us. It's our responsibility, man. Those are our families on there. They don't have to be our brothers, our sisters. They're our families that are in there. You know, we need to be involved in their conditions, in their flight.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna be out heading to the prison. I think on the 16th this month, heading back to the prison. We do programs in the prison all the time. Talk to the brothers. We got people in there who do a political educational program. Well, you know one, Attica. You know. Yeah, and so man.
When he comes out, I want you to call me and tell me, man, come on, man, so we could talk.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. We'll do. We'll
because
do.
we're gonna definitely, we're gonna bump heads and talk a lot, man. Because I'm pretty sure he got a lot to give, and so do I, and so do you. And 3 heads is better than 1.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm gonna leave with this comment from my brother Freedom Power. He was like, "Ain't that a kick in the ass?" And I'm guessing he referring to no police, none of the pigs ever got charged for all of the atrocities that they committed against our people. Che, I love it. Asante for the great power narrative. So you know what I'm saying. Thank you, brother. We will
I
definitely
love
have.
all of y'all, man.
Yeah.
I love
We
all
will.
of y'all, and I mean that from my heart, man. Because remember, my name is Che, not Carrera, but that's my father.
Which means friend.
If I'm your friend, I'm not your enemy. And if I'm not
Exactly.
your enemy, I'm your friend. I'm the one who love you.
Well, brother Che, I can see that you my friend before I even know what Che meant, and
That's
because I
right.
just found
That's
out
right.
tonight. I was like,
Yeah.
fam, this a friend right here. Like I said, brother, we will definitely do this again.
Yeah,
Probably
brother, we
many
will. We will.
times. You know what I'm
We will.
saying? I
We
can,
will.
I truly consider you a comrade. And man, continue to fight, continue to struggle, and you always got an ally right here, the whole Naba family. You know what I'm saying? You, the Young Lords, the Panthers, all we all one, man.
That's a family, man. We're a family.
Yes, sir.
Something
Yes,
like this, I always do this. And people say, what is
sir.
that? I say, you can't break that. That's a family.
Yep.
This is not a family. This is.
Exactly. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, brother. So yeah, man. I got to get out of here. I got people blowing me up. I kind of got a
Man, do your
little
thing,
semi
man.
emergency going on over here.
My wife is working, man, until 11 o'clock tonight. So.
Oh, I hear you. But yeah, man. This is brother Prophet.
My niece, who just for you probably seen her pass over. That's my niece. She came from Dominican Republic.
Okay.
She's pregnant. She's getting ready to bust out with a baby.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that no more.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. But yeah, man, I got to go and get out of here.
Okay,
but
brother.
yeah,
Much love, man.
Peace next time. Yeah,
and free the land.
Free the land, you. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
See y'all again next week, y'all.
Got conversations about life, got conversations about death, got conversations about building a nation, about gaining knowledge of self. Not here to deceive ya, we'll make you a believer.